Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again. So I want to talk to you today about solar panels, and I want you to stop getting taken advantage of by these companies that are questionable with their rating system. I've been dealing with speakers for my entire life, probably 40 plus years, and you know, a lot of companies, they like to overspec stuff. There's what's known as the specs in a laboratory, and then there's real world specs. I go off real world specs. I don't care what the laboratory said. That's what reviews are for, and that's what tests are for. I want to see how that speaker reacts in real life, in real time. I'm going to give you two examples here. This is a 100-watt solar panel, and this is a 100-watt solar panel. Two different companies. I'm not going to tell you the companies. I own both panels. Okay. I paid $100 for one, and I paid $100 for the other. They're both rated at 100 watts. Now you think, okay, they're rated, that means that they were tested and they're certified and all this blah, 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 right? So here's the crazy thing. With real world, if both of these panels were the same, then when you hook them up to your system, you should get the same power output, right? Since they're rated the same. Well, tests react different in real world situations. And that's why these reviews are so important, is because you want to see how a product really reacts in real world, not controlled environment and controlled light and controlled temperature, just all real world situations side by side in the same atmosphere, in the same situation. And then you can really see what panel or product is better or right for you. So to give you an idea, these are 100-watt panels, 100 watts each, okay? I'm sorry, 100 watts each. I own both panels. That equates to about $1 per watt. Now, company A is a 100-watt panel, right? But I'm only able to get out 78 watts max out of this panel. And like I said, I own both of these. So that means I'm paying $1.28 per watt, which means I got taken advantage of. I got technically ripped off because this is not this, right? This should be 100 watts. That's what it said. So my panel 2, same price, $100, 100-watt rating, right? $1 per watt, actually maxed out at 104, okay? So 104 actually gives me the price per watt of 96 cents. Now that's a huge difference when it comes to your pocketbook. And a lot of people say, well, you know, that's only a couple cents, big deal. Well, look at the watts, guys. When you're waiting for your power station to get charged, or you're trying to bring in energy from the sun, and you get basically taken, right, for your watt input, you kind of feel, and we've all been there. We've all bought panels to where I don't care if it's a 100-watt panel, a 200-watt, 400-watt, 500-watt, 1,000-watt, million-watt. If the real-world watt output is not what you expected, you're going to be upset. If it's more, then you're really going to be happy, right? Now, I have a panel that I didn't put in this situation. I bought a very cheap panel. I'm not going to tell you the name, okay? A very cheap panel, and it put out 122.5 watts. Metered. I recorded it on video. And the crazy thing is that panel was rated at 100 watts. Now you're thinking, holy cow, either it's under-spec'd, right, which means that they actually, I believe it's really a 120-watt panel. I really do. But they spec'd it at 100. Why? Well, they don't make many panels, and maybe they're trying to, you know, impress people as far as their panels. You know, it could be a marketing thing. However, the box at 100 watts, which means anything more than 100 watts, as a consumer, I'm extremely happy. Matter of fact, if it was 100 watts as a consumer, I'd be very happy. But when I open a brand new panel, like I said, I've had dozens of them. When I open a brand new panel and I only get 78 watts out of this panel, shame on you, Mr. Company A. Shame on you. Make better panels and people will buy your stuff. And then you won't have so many negative reviews. If you guys go to Amazon right now, you will see tons of negative reviews saying I only got 64 watts out of this panel, or, you know, 120 out of this 200-watt panel. You see tons of them all day. Many companies. I'm not picking on anyone in particular. I'm just talking about the industry as a whole. So I will get in the debate with some of the people, and they'll say, well, Rambling Bob, it's because of the size of the cable you use, right? And the connectors you use, and the length of the cable, and the gauge of the cable. And yeah, I agree with all that, 100%. However, we took 2 panels, same wattage, same gauge, same time, same length, same power station, and we get 2 different watts, right? So obviously something is wrong with this panel. I don't know if it's, defective or not. And I've had many panels. I've had a 120 watt foldable panel that only put out 70, I think it was like 79 watts out of 120. Now, if I made that as a company, I'd be embarrassed for my product. I don't care what I got in a laboratory. People are going to just downvote that and thumb down and dislike it and leave bad reviews all over the internet. And that's not good for business. You don't want to have your product out there getting bad reviews unless they're misunderstood bad reviews. Some people don't understand that, you run a solar cable, 300 feet, right? You're going to have voltage set. You have all kinds of problems. But when you have a controlled environment, which is what we did, 100 watt panel, only put out 78, only put out 104. They were side by side, same angle and everything. So when you have a controlled environment at your home, that's called a real world controlled environment. That means you control the environment and it happened in the real world, not a laboratory. So guys, be smart with your money. Ask a lot of questions. That's what these reviews are supposed to be for, is to help us save money, because that is the whole concept of a review. You want honest answers, honest numbers, so you can make a good decision and what's right for you and your family, and your power station or your speakers. Like I could tell you horror stories of speakers. Some companies they make these speakers, and I'll go to the either the fair or wherever, and they say, oh, this speaker will hold 10,000 watts, and I look at them, you got frogs coming out of your ears. I mean, let me hook it to a real amp. I mean a real power amp that puts out real wattage, say 500 watts. And I'll put that speaker across the parking lot, because the cone will just blow right out of it, because it's junk. They overspec it. And what happens with that is those companies will end up with tons and tons of bad reviews, but you know what they already took? Your money. They already got your money. So ask questions, guys. Ask questions. You want to buy a panel or a power station or whatever? I saw a company, I'm not going to say who, because I don't believe in downputting any company. I downput the technology, but not the companies. The company should know better. If the technology is bad, then I'll talk about it. But there's a company out there now that's doing their cycle ratings for their batteries down to 70%. They're the only one in the industry that does that. And you know why? Unfortunately, that's so you can artificially overinflate your numbers. Guys, you don't need to do that. Just be honest. If you have a good product, if I made a good product, I'd be happy to tell you about it and show you about it. If I made a bad product, I'd hide behind marketing and editing. So always remember that, guys, when you buy something. It could be anything, any product in the world. But if you buy a 100-watt panel and you get, like I literally have an average now, guys, of 75%. If your panel from your company puts out 75%, that's average now. That's an embarrassment. That's an absolute embarrassment. So either do what this company did. This is an unknown little tiny company, and they put out a 100-watt panel, and you know what? It brings out more than 100 watts. Underspec your product. You'll do nothing but have good reviews everywhere. People will talk about your panels or your product 24 hours a day, and it will sell like hotcakes. But stop making these kind of products, guys, where you overspec it and you try to sell it. And this is all industries. I'm not just picking on solar. This is every industry ever, ever. They overspec stuff. Do you remember back in the days when AMD used to put out the processors, and I used to buy them back when like Pentium 2 and Pentium 3 came out? And the neat thing was when Pentium did it, you could see that it was like I remember buying a Pentium. It was a Pentium 3 633 megahertz. Now boy, is that back in the days. And that was a newer laptop for me back then. And you get home and you actually look at the the megahertz speed by, you know, via tester, and it's right there. It's real close, right there. And then you look at another company, which will be unnamed, and, you know, it'll, you know, that blah, blah, blah 4800. And you think, well, 4800, wow, that's 4,800 megahertz. So when you actually test it, you find out it's only, you know, 2,200 megahertz, or 2.4 gigahertz. And it's like you feel so taken advantage of. So guys, watch your money. Make sure that you learn about solar panels right now, and that way you don't, you know, you pay less per watt hour, right? Or per watt, sorry, not watt hour. But I'd rather pay 120 for this panel, right, at 96 per watt. That would obviously go up, and that would be at 120 divided by 104. Let's see, 120 divided by 104, that's $1.15 per panel. So even though I'm paying 20 cents, or I'm sorry, $20 more for this panel when I first buy it, I'm only paying $1.15 per watt, which is still better than this, right? Because I'm not getting the power I was promised. All right, guys, be safe with your money. Make good investments. Watch a lot of reviews. Ask questions. That's the best thing you can do. And watch the reviews that have real videos so you can watch them. You know, there's tons of people on the internet, and I've learned a lot. So just save your money, make good decisions, and then everybody be safe out there, and ramble on, and I'll see you again. All right, bye, guys.